Poem number 53. Happiness, whose name is silent on the tongues of children, lost and young and seeking guidance, some proud, the rest hidden, slapped for every unconventional choice with laws and rules and ceased protection into hiding their faces and beautiful voice, children too young to vote in this election. Where are the flag bearers singing all, that every person's right is to express that you matter even when you feel small? And trans is valid. We stand for progress. So that was my attempt at a sapphic ode, and due to what's been going on here in America, I felt like this was something I needed to talk about and address. I know that I'm trying to make this a poetry vlog, and maybe some people think it isn't my place to keep skewing so political, but art and politics follow each other side by side, and I think a lot of what's been happening with regard to transgender issues is people don't really understand what transgender is. So I thought maybe I would talk about it a little bit and maybe clear some things up for some people. So I get the feeling that some people think of transgender as though, like me as a cisgender woman, one day was like, oh, I want to be a man now. I'm like, that's not what it is. This isn't some cross-dressing anime like Hanakimi. It's not trying to pass for a boy in order to infiltrate the all-boys school to be closer to your crush. Like, that's not transgender. That's just an anime trope. It'd be a lot closer to if I, as a woman, appeared physically as a man. If on my birth certificate it said boy, but I knew I was a woman from the beginning. Or maybe I kind of just didn't feel correct as a boy and slowly figured out over time. It's closer to that. It's closer to if on the inside I've always been a woman and I know I'm a woman, but to you I look like a man. And I think if you think about it that way, it's not that a woman wants to be a man or a man wants to be a woman. They've always been that way. They just didn't physically appear that way, and they'd like for their inward expression to show outwardly so that things like going to the bathroom are less awkward. Think about it like me as a woman, again, but appearing as a man, and I've been going to the bathroom with men all this time in public restrooms, and that's very awkward for me because even though we have the same body parts, there's a bunch of men in here and I know that I'm not a man. That kind of a thing. But then trying to go to the correct bathroom, it's like, thank goodness, it's all ladies in here now, it's not weird. And maybe even though I might have slightly different body parts, we're all still girls in here. That's the kind of thing I think people don't understand about it. And I can only come at this from a cisgendered perspective, which means that the gender that I identify with matches what's on my birth certificate. I just think there's a lot of confusion about what it means to be transgender, and I really think people need to understand. Especially with these bathroom bills, people talk about, oh, but then there'll be a man in the ladies' room. Like, that's not what's happening. We're all girls here. Like, personally, I would feel a lot more comfortable knowing that all the other people in the bathroom with me identify as female. You know, not that I care that much. To be perfectly honest, most of the time in public restrooms there's stalls, and I literally do not care who's sitting next to me. I think it's more confusing when people would feel more comfortable with, for example, someone who is a man on the inside but who appears like a woman, has female body parts, sitting next to you in a stall. That's weirder, isn't it? Having someone who maybe, I don't know, who maybe physically appears to you to look like a woman but who is a man, that's weirder than having someone who maybe has an Adam's apple or something sitting next to you, but who is a woman. I don't know if I'm saying that very well. As a cisgendered woman, I've used the men's room before. Sometimes there's just a long line. Sometimes the ladies' room is out of order. Like, be honest with yourself. Where you pee is not important, and who's peeing next to you is not that important. Let's just all respect one another. For one thing, the way a person presents themselves actually doesn't affect you. And I think it's horrible that we're living in a world where adults are attempting to bully children to a greater degree than children are bullying each other, especially about transgender issues. Adults should not be bullying children. And the fact that that's happening and the fact that people think that that's okay is horrible. Transgender youth are valid. All children are valid. But right now we're focusing on transgender kids because they're the ones getting affected by the bathroom bill. And I'd like people to just kind of understand a little bit better what transgender is. It's not a boy trying to infiltrate the girls' room. That's not what's happening when a transgender woman is trying to pee in the girls' room. She's just trying to use the right bathroom. She's just trying to make it so it's all ladies here, rather than having to sneak in and pee around men, which is far more awkward for her. Now that we've cleared that up a little bit, hopefully that made sense. Hopefully I said everything that was important for me to say. If you're watching this and you are transgender, I fully support you. I'll pee next to you if that's what needs to happen. I'm on your side. So, enough of that. Let's get back to poetry. I said I would write a form poem this week, and so my attempt was at a sapphic ode, which felt appropriate. I don't know that I did it 100% correct. I felt like getting the message that I wanted to across was more important in this poem, but I wanted to talk a little bit about form poems in general. If you're like me and you typically don't write forms or you want to branch out, learn more about other forms, I actually recommend you pick up this book, The Ode Less Traveled by Stephen Fry. This is a really good one for kind of learning about poetry. He starts off going into like what is meter and what is rhyme, and he writes kind of funny poems sort of explaining the poem but also in the correct form. So this one's the pantoum. The slow throb of an old pantoum resounding like a distant gong to summon us to certain doom. Repeating fragments of its song, resounding like a distant gong, the pantoum tolls its solemn weight. Repeating fragments of its song, it sounds the measures of our fate. The pantoum tolls with solemn weight, ringing changes and shifting gear. It sounds the measure of our fate. It chimes of ancient bells we hear, ringing changes and shifting gear, to summon us to certain doom. In chimes of ancient bells we hear the slow throb of an old pantoum. I've never written a pantoum, but it's a lot of fun. It looks text heavy, but a lot of it is pretty lighthearted and fun to read. So if you're looking into other styles to try, I definitely recommend this book. This is what I read in college. I just think it's a good one. I think it's just going to be the one poem from me this week. Sorry to kind of get political on you yet again, but like I said, these things are very important, and it's very hard to separate poetry from what's happening in the world, and I don't think it should be separated. And I think that this is my platform, and so it is the right platform to talk about things that are important to me. I hope all of you had a great week. Happy Saturday. If you want to read my halfway point poem, my 50th poem, if you go back to the last video, on which side? I'm not sure. If you go back to the previous video, down in the comments I posted my poem, or you can find it on my website as usual. I'll make sure that that's down in the description below, and I will see you guys back here next Saturday. Please give this video a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Leave a comment, let me know what you thought about my attempt at a sapphic ode for this week. Let me know what you thought about this video in general, and I'll see you back here next Saturday. Bye!